once you pass out, I'll help you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then he's lived in like shack.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you
Oh, yeah.
His first parish was in, he had two churches in
Send them all.
every other Sunday.
They're all small. They all work together, so,
That's a good idea. I never
yeah. Make sure your first meeting's, an eventful one. You got two other members here to talk to.
Does it sound like
Welcome back.
Oh, that would be.
Podcast is free.
So we're back, no decisions made, no votes taken. Excuse me. So under mayor's comments, if you haven't heard, I don't know how you couldn't have, today is Marlene's 90th birthday. It's actually today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Marlene, if you're listening. Feels like she's been celebrating for a month now. And I don't blame her. So, Wes, you're up. Under staff reports, you feel like our staff, you've been seeing so much of us lately, right?
Short-term rental out here or something. Mayor, thanks for having me tonight. Council, appreciate the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming renourishment project at Folly Beach. So why are we out here? This is truly an emergency renourishment due to impacts from Hurricane Ian and then all those other nor'easters that followed. So based on our survey, the beach, and obviously through your visual surveys, the beach is not in great condition at the moment. So this timing couldn't be better. We go back to the first slide. So we had one more, sorry, Wes. We had a media day out on Friday, and then the mayor attended. We took DNR, took a bunch of people to Bird Key. And we got a lot of good publicity out of it. So part of this renourishment project is to rehabilitate the bird sanctuary at Bird Key. They are wrapping that up this week, and then they're going to start mobilizing, transitioning a lot of their equipment over to the county park. And that's when they're going to start pumping on the beach. And next slide, please. And basically just a little overview of the project, and I'll talk a little bit about the details of the operation. We're estimating about 1.2 million cubic yards of sand. Just cubic yards, the equivalent of that is around 120,000 dump trucks. So that's how kind of like I like to figure the millions cubic yards out and equate it to dump trucks. This is at a cost of about $18 million, and this is 100% federally funded due to an emergency rehabilitation from Hurricane Ian. So typically cost shares with this project are 85% federal, and then non-federal is cost share at 15%, but because this was due to an emergency, this is 100% federally funded. We are getting the material behind the island at in Folly River. This is the same place we got the material in 2018. Material is really good beach quality. Essentially, it's a recycling machine, so the island erodes behind Folly River, and we just pump it back out. So we're just recycling the material back on the beach. RSM is Regional Sediment Management, and with this project, we're also dredging some of the shoals in Folly River to ease with some navigational impacts that you guys are having back there, and again, rehabilitating a bird sanctuary. So, and just to recap, so the project on Bird Key is ending this week. hope to be pumping starting at the county park next week, and this project is going to wrap up in August of 2024 before peak hurricane season hits next year. Next slide. So a little bit of details about the operation. This is the borrow source of where we're going to get the material. So part of the material is going to come from the navigation channel. That's the federal O&M operation and maintenance navigation channel. And then some of the material is going to come, we call it the coffin borrow area within the Folly River. So, and again, this is the same exact borrow area and the same exact channel that we got the material in 2018. So we're not concerned about any unsuitable material like we've had in 2014. So the pipeline route in the river will be coming onto the island through the county park. All the pipelines will be marked for boater safety. The dredge will be out there and they will move if they need to, so boaters can get by. They'll be extra cautious, around the weekends, holidays, and so on. So there will be that safety impact of the pipeline being marked, submerged, and then they'll be on the radio all the time for folks to communicate. The pipeline will come through the county park and then proceed north up through the beach. In April, we are expecting another dredge, another contractor to come online and pump from the pier north, or the pier to the east end. So that second contractor is expected to come on end of April, early May timeframe. So there will be a lot of activity from May to August of two dredges pumping to the beach at one time. And I'll get to another slide where we'll talk a little bit about how the public knows which sections of the beach are open, closed, and so on. And then next slide. This is a very, very busy slide, and folks can have a copy of this, but this kind of shows the pipeline route. The one in pink is the contractor one pumping to the pier, and the line in blue is the second contractor pumping to the northeast end of the island. Coming through the county park, one of the things that I've instilled onto both of these contractors is to communicate with the county park, work closely with them, ensure that folks, safety is the #1 priority out there. And they do a good job with working with Michael and his team at the county park to ensure that, Michael has everything he needs from a safety standpoint, and the contractors are doing their job and properly marking their equipment. But yeah, it should be a good project. One last slide from a public safety standpoint, and the mayor hit on this when he was out with the media crews on Friday. We encourage the public, the visitors, folks that are coming to the island, that we want them to come look at this website before coming to the beach to see what sections of the beach are open, right? They'll be highlighted in green. What sections will be closed due to the renourishment, they'll be highlighted in red, and to avoid those sections in red, really. And then the ones in yellow, you can kind of get a feel of like a forecast closure. So in the next 48 hours, those areas in yellow will be closed. So this will be updated daily. It's essentially real time. So we've used this tool in the past in 2018, and I think it was a great benefit. It helped, alleviate a lot of phone calls to our office, and I'm sure others as well. But that's the last slide. Any questions?
Talk a little bit more about the regional settlement management.
Okay, regional
Because that's
settlement management.
pretty new for most people hearing that.
So Nicole is a pro at it, but
Nicole educated me a few years ago with Jacksonville Group.
So I like to call it beneficial use, right? I think it's essentially the same thing, but we're reusing material that is in the system, right? So it's a system, like going back to the recycling thing of material that was on Folly Beach, now it's in the river. We're not getting it offshore. We're not getting it, stealing it off another island. We're using something that is already in our regional system, right? So, and one of the things about this that is a little bit unique is this material we are getting is what is considered and called in the Cobra Zone. And typically, federal law, federal funding is not allowed to take this material out of the Cobra Zone and place it on the beach. But with an emergency exemption like we have, we're able to do that. and that's happened in the past 2 instances. But just keeping the material in the same set in the region, and you know, and that's essentially what our long-term goal is for the island. And then one other unique project I failed to mention is there will likely be 3 dredges. The 3rd dredge will not have any impact to the public or safety standpoint, but we are going to clear the channel in Stono Inlet for boating to dredge. So we're going to use a hopper dredge, which takes material like in the belly of the dredge, and then we'll run the hopper dredge all the way up to the very end of the northeast island and place it near shore. And the expectation,
That was the one that I was,
and the expectation is you are kind of taking that material, place it on the northeast end, and over time it'll slowly renourish the beach. So that's an interesting one. We did it in 2021, and we did see some impacts of the beach getting renourished based on that regional
yeah.
project.
We're basically gonna build a sandbar to come on the shore.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically,
And then the current, over time, push it up.
yeah.
Do you expect that the success with the 2 emergency renourishments will allow the next non-emergency renourishment to use the regional sand?
You know, it's a congressional question, really. The Cobra Zone was enacted by Congress to not take material out. I don't know at this point. 5, 6 years it could change. I think there's a battle to be fought in that case, and I personally, from experience in 2014, going offshore, it doesn't have the ideal material that it does behind the river.
It's also more expensive, right?
It's almost double.
It saves tens of millions of dollars. It really has
And
no chance
that's
of
an argument
making
that
it.
we have with them, so, just a small number.
It just depends on who you're talking to and how good their math is.
Good question.
Okay, thank you, Wes.
All right, appreciate it.
And thanks for all the work y'all been doing with us.
And we'll
over
have
the
one
years.
more media day, mid-April, when they get going on the beach, so there'll be another opportunity to get the word out.
Good, thanks.
Thanks.
So, Mr. Letts, you can't hardly wait for you to get here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just got to brief you on some much smaller numbers, but not just as important, of course. Just wanted to basically give everybody a heads up that on the repairs and maintenance line for Public Works, we're already running over budget, and we're only in March. So we're forecasting it will be a pretty good chunk over budget by the time we get to the end of the fiscal year. Not a whole lot to say about that, except a lot of this probably stems from our relocation from James Island to downtown. We're putting 3 times the mileage on our trucks every day, and we have an aging fleet. Hoping on this next budget year to budget for 1 more new truck, but the bulk of this maintenance money has been spent on the garbage trucks we have. That's not the light vehicles. They get a lot of road time and they break down a lot. If you see my reports, you'll probably notice that.
And we also have to haul some of the trash further than Beast Ferry.
We do. Beast Ferry shut down all the man-made material disposal a couple of years ago, and it's made us push almost up to Palmetto Commerce Parkway, which is another third of the distance again from Beast Ferry. These trucks are getting a lot of time on the road, and a lot of maintenance, not to mention the cost of material and labor keeps going up too, it seems like.
Fuel budget in line?
We're doing okay on fuel this year, lucky enough. Right now, we're under, I don't want to jinx it, we're under budget.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll have some other cost savings somewhere that can help cover some of this. But we are looking forward budgeting, not twice as much, but 1.5 times as much for maintenance next year, just to hope to get ahead of this, or at least.
Do you think since we're running these problems and they're not going away, they're only getting worse, would it be time, when you think about your budget, to start, we need to up cycle of getting new trucks? So getting them sooner, instead of spending so much in repairs and maintenance, we're renewing our fleet faster.
That's, I think, the direction we're headed.
Seems to be getting to that point cost-wise where it's gonna be the break-even point here real soon and save us money rather, in a couple of years,
You're right. You'll be hearing more about that.
I'm sure.
Well, last year, didn't you say the oldest truck was the
Most dependable.
Most
The oldest,
dependable,
oldest truck is probably the one we'll still keep, because that's, everything's manual and it doesn't break down as much. But all the trucks after that, they're more modern and a little more high-tech, but they tend to break a little more too. Might be functional obsolescence.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pope.
Last month, when we wrapped up our amendments to the short-term rental ordinance, council codified a policy for licenses going forward. It gives a 10 business day grace period for license renewals. So this year and future years, you'll have 10 business days beyond the due date to be considered timely in terms of renewing your short-term rental. And one of the things we discussed during the amendment process was whether or not to make this retroactive for 2023. Throughout the discussions, council kind of narrowed that proposed exemption policy. And so that in order to retroactively get your license for 2023, if you missed it, you had to have applied within the grace period, been denied because you were late, appealed your denial and lost that appeal, which that applies to one license. We had one license come in last year, 2 days late, which we denied. That person appealed the denial and the denial was upheld. So in order to convert that discussion to a formal policy, we created this written policy here that basically just states that if you had a 2022 license, you submitted a renewal in 2023 within the 10-day grace period, and we denied you for being late, and then you appealed it and you lost your appeal, then you can come in and get an ISTR in 2024. So this will add one ISTR over the cap.
Any questions? Okay. Moving on to approval of the agenda, to have a motion to approve. So moved. Have a second? Before we vote on it, under personal appearances, item C, Our Lady of Good Counsel Parish Picnic, that's been withdrawn, so they'll come back later in the summer, later on. Any other corrections? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Brazell?
Yeah.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes as amended.
So, moving on to approval of the minutes, February the 13th, have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any corrections or additions? So we'll take it without objection. And February the 20th, have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second? Any corrections or additions? Without objection. Moving on into personal appearances, we'll skip Dr. Elko to last. No, just kidding. You're up.
Good evening. So my name's Nicole Elko. I am here tonight as the director of the Folly Beach Wahine Classic, something I do in my free time when I'm not helping with beach renourishment and other things. And here to request permission to host the 22nd annual Folly Beach Wahine Classic on the weekend of July 27th and 28th at the Washout. As you know, this is the longest running, we think, in the U.S., but certainly on the East Coast, all women surf contest. And our mission is to empower women of all ages with a weekend of camaraderie and surfing fun. And we appreciate all the support that you all have provided to us in the past. And in addition to the request for the weekend, you may recall that we also typically request to purchase 130 parking passes for the washout for the weekend at the rate of $10 each, and we respectfully request that council honor those for both days, Saturday and Sunday, so that our, our contestants can purchase those passes from us. So those are my two requests for permission to host that weekend and to purchase the parking passes.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have any questions?
Renourishment won't affect this at all.
It might, yeah, just depends.
Yeah, there's a chance that it can intersect with a lot of the surf contests this summer, so we're working closely with ESA and Marshall to pass on tracking that.
Okay, thank you.
And on the east end, you might even have little in on that one up there, right?
We'd have an inside.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Pope.
Mr. Ellis? Yes. Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Brazil?
Yeah.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Approved.
Thank you.
So, moving on to Adoptive Expeditions Surf Event. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
So just give us your name and address, what you're all about.
So my name is Joe Moore. It's Adaptive Expeditions. We are a Paralympic Sport Club here in Charleston. We've been doing adaptive sport and recreation for people who have physical or sensory disabilities since 2013 throughout Charleston, Tri-County area. We're requesting permission to run an adaptive surfing day for individuals with spinal cord injury at 5th Street East access. In partnership with the MUSC PT School and AT School, as well as the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, which has the largest spinal cord injury clinic in the Southeast. We would like to be able to use it for most of the day. The total number that we have applied to have there will be divided into 4 sections. We will run them through 4 waves of participants, 4 at a time, with the appropriate number of volunteers, probably about 40 volunteers per wave. So it's one of the only access points that we could use with our beach shares easily. And I guess that's about it.
Motion to approve.
Good. Give a second.
So second, I have questions. You're only gonna have 16 participants,
Yes.
but you wanna use the access from 8:30 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Right, so
in the
each,
middle of the summer, and take up the whole block of parking and the entire block of 5th Street. I live at 5th Street East. It's pretty busy.
yeah.
So I think that's a stretch for 16 participants.
So each wave will have 4. There'll be 4 waves. For each participant needs at least 6 volunteers. So it's 6 times 4 plus those 4 for so it's more than just those 4 volunteers. These are individuals who use wheelchairs for spinal cord injury. It takes a lot of volunteers to keep them safe. We position them in deep water, mid-water, shallow water.
Right. No, and I get that, but if you only have 16 surfers,
Yeah.
then is there a way we can shorten that to where we're only using, say, the morning time? I'll be a lot more apt to do it, taking up that entire block for the entire day in the middle of summer, we have renourishment issues at the same time. There's a lot of question marks that I'm having on that.
Yeah.
But what I think what he's saying is they're only gonna be 4 at a time. They're not all 16 coming at one time.
Right.
Right.
So it's gonna take all day to get 4, that
It's
4.
gonna take all day, but they don't really need the whole block.
So you,
Well, the problem is,
Because that's where I'm going. You can't take one of our most popular blocks for an entire day in June.
the real problem for this, that I see for this is June the 22nd, is you're probably gonna be butting right up against renourishment in that area.
That was my second.
And you're talking about wheelchairs and trying to get them across pipes, it's gonna be really tough. That's, I would suggest, hold this thought, let's, see if we can get a little better, Wes can get back with you later, when we can see, we get a little better time handle on this date and where they would be, and what that would be like trying to, I mean, those huge pipes, trying to get folks with spinal injuries and wheelchairs across them in the beach to get to the beach would be tough.
I would request the same as for the Wahine Classic, and that we take our risk, and if we have to cancel, we cancel, because we can't get across. Seemed to be the answer for the last recipient.
Well, but they aren't impaired trying to use wheelchairs. I'm just trying to give you a better idea of, you know, when we see, in April, they'll have a better, or 1st of May, they'll have a better idea of where they're gonna be moving. There might be some other place that we can work it out, that you can use, that you won't have to fight the pipes, is what I was
understand.
thinking.
Participants will be coming from throughout the Southeast, so
Yeah.
we have to make this either now, like we have to start marketing and recruiting and getting Shepherd Center on board or not. So it won't really work to wait till the last minute, because they won't be able to come. You know, they won't find lodging. There's probably only about 5 wheelchair accessible lodging rooms within 30-mile radius of us.
Okay, so how big of waves do you need?
How big of waves?
Waves.
Anything from 1 foot or higher. Most adaptive surfing happens prone.
Okay,
They
so.
lay down on the board.
Okay, so what I was gonna suggest is, if we say we take it out of the 5th block, move it to the end,
16, 17,
Summer place like
I got a Schultz's house, I got a brain cramp.
summer place.
Summer place, we could get the folks, there's a handicap ramp there.
No, sir,
Just-
upstairs,
oh.
right now we have great access you can get to with the
So we had
On at Summer
MUSC.
Place, hang on a second,
And-
hang on one second. At Summer Place Lane, you have a ramp. I knew there was some way we could get there.
Get down in the vehicle there and at 16, 17.
Okay, so if we move that far down the beach where we could actually get you on the beach, and I don't think you would have to worry about canceling, if you got people coming from all over, would probably be a better option than Fifth Street. Because if they start at the pier and work that way, they're gonna get you probably by June.
Yeah. So we did a very thorough walkthrough with both Shepherd Center and MUSC partners. And it was the only access we found. The next best would be the county park, who's agreed to host us, but there we have to get to the beach and then push down, 1/10 of a mile in wheelchairs, beach wheelchairs.
Wait a minute, where are you talking about, County Park, where? On the west end?
Yeah. There's only one county park that I know of.
No, there's one on both ends. But on the west end, you're gonna run into the same thing. I guarantee you there's gonna be pipes down there.
Yeah.
So that's because that's where they're starting. So what I'm concerned about you being able to get even beach wheelchairs across, we haven't had success in past years. With even our big beach wheelchairs getting them. You can get them to the pipe, but that's about it. You're not gonna get a whole lot more.
I'm just sensing that, with the Wahine Classic that just was up here.
I understand.
Let them take the risk of cancellation.
They're not gonna cancel
You're
because
not
they can
going
walk
to
across the
allow my
pipe.
community to cancel if we have to?
But they're not gonna cancel because they can walk across the pipe. They're not trying to get handicapped access to the beach.
I'm not trying to get handicap access. There is no such thing as accessibility on the beach.
All right, I'm done.
I'm not interested in.
I'm done.
In
I'm
you
done.
guys providing access for us.
You guys got any other questions?
I do. I have some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that specific location, if you could give me more information why that's the only option.
So there is a very large parking lot there that is on both sides, so you can enter and go on both sides. So we will need access for vans and others to come out with their side doors and ramps. Same thing that the aisles are made for in parking lots, with the hash marks. So we have enough parking there. It's flat, and the trail to the beach through the dune section is wide enough for a beach wheelchair.
Okay, now, the next question is the date. Is there any flexibility in the date?
Yes, certainly.
There is flexibility in the date.
Yeah, we could do that. So that's what we have right now. We have some participants who know the date and interested, but we can change the date if that's necessary.
a weekday would be,
Okay, so I'm just,
wouldn't you?
I'm just,
So a weekday won't work because most of them are employed and
Okay.
have jobs.
so, all right, so there's flexibility in the date. The location can't be changed. Is there a way then we could regroup and, as you suggested earlier, to look at potentially other dates?
Evidently, he don't want to, so.
If you know of another accessible beach access anywhere on Folly Beach,
That's what I was trying to give you. Summer Place Lane, a big lane, lots of parking, probably more than at Fifth Street. There's a ramp down that you could get down. We get emergency vehicles down, even if we had to try to get our fire department to try to help get down. That's what I
So
was
Summer
saying,
Place
so,
Lane isn't a marked access that we would, so it's like another access that we would have.
you go all the way down to the end of East Ashley, where the big turnaround is, it's the last street on the right.
So
You
where
can
they-
block, that's a parking, that whole dirt road in there is a parking lot.
Yes, it's just got redone. There's heavy equipment was there a couple months ago, and there's a punch out, and they use part of that parking lot as a driveway. Is that correct?
Yes,
But
1670, I think.
Are y'all gonna,
Right?
So there's only one side of the parking lot. There's no more than 6 parking spaces in that. So if you
You
leave
can
the
park
road
on
clear,
both sides.
if we can get the owner of the house that uses that access for.
you can park on both sides. They parallel park on one side and pull in park on the other side.
are you guys gonna,
And
mark
block
off the parking lot wherever you guys decide to have it, if you have it? I mean, how are you gonna make sure that the public's not,
You would have to, if you went like Summer Place Lane, you'd have to block it off for the day.
or Fifth, or wherever?
So what about the house that uses that?
That's
beach?
not Summer Place Lane.
That's not, okay.
I don't think so. I refer to.
Well, but they don't park in the parking lot, they just pull through there as a
Yeah,
driveway
through the
and
drive-through.
drive into their own lot, one way or the
Sure,
other.
but how would we not block them?
We just don't block their driveway.
But their driveway is the beach access.
Mayor, I think he's thinking of 1670.
1670.
Oh,
That's what he's
okay,
picturing in his head,
yeah,
because we sent him down there to recon it.
okay. So I'm not 1670, further down than
But he
that.
hasn't been down to Summer Place. So he's not getting the same picture that we were talking about.
Okay, I'll check out Summer Place.
I would just say, get with Eric and y'all, and maybe, Andrew, no, he's not here tonight. Y'all show him where I was talking about and how you could help him maybe get there. That way it pushes him down the beach far enough. I don't think the renourishment would get to you to make a difference.
Right.
On the day you're looking for. Come back first of the month and you should be good to go.
So the access is called Summer Place Lane. I'll be able to
Yeah.
check that.
Yeah, they'll work with you, get with them, and
It's actually, yes, it's bigger than what you're visualizing. It's not the same place. You're
Yeah,
not
what
talking
was-
about the same
What was
place.
the place you guys sent me in?
1670 was.
Yeah, that's the one. That
Yeah, yeah.
They sent me
This,
there, and there's half of the parking lot is someome's driveway.
yeah, this is further down than that.
Mr. Mayor, don't you think they can get all the logistics together and he can come back next month?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
That's
with-
that is what I would
Where,
recommend.
where Eric can show him, actually show you what we're talking about and help
And then you
get
got
in
plenty
and
of
out.
time for everybody to know ahead of time so that they can make plans.
Yeah. So Fifth Street won't work.
I'm just saying,
No.
if I was you, I would look at this other place at the end where I wouldn't be having to cancel because here we are and we can't use it because the guys are out there pushing sand dredging.
Yeah, but that was not a concern for the party who was
To be
just here
very
before.
honest, just to make it as simple as,
Wow.
it's not there isn't a comparison.
Wait a minute, hold it.
For you, there's not. I see it.
Different location,
Yeah.
they're on the east end where they're talking.
So
about.
I
Well,
didn't
not only
see
that,
any
hang on,
concern
hang on, hang on.
Unless it involved people with disabilities.
If they're pushing sand at the washout, when the Wahine comes up, they're not gonna be there either.
Exactly, but you left that to their decision
But-
to cancel.
I'm just trying to help you get to a place where you don't have to cancel. That's what I was trying to help you get
I
to.
appreciate that paternalistic help. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll come back. We're to the Meg hunt.
Hey, guys. I'm just going to give these straight to DJ. You can pass them down.
No, you can't give.
No, okay, you gotta give one to everyone. You got a snaggletooth, shark tooth in there, and shark poop.
Shark poop?
Yes, 30 million year old shark poop.
Okay,
All right,
how many is this, 5?
this is the 5th year, yeah. It should have been the 7th, but we know
Well,
what
you
happened
know,
for a couple of those years.
You guys disappeared for a couple of years. I don't know.
That was us just trying to be responsible. But again, Ashby Gale, 9544 Coaster Road, Ladson, South Carolina, 29456. With Charleston Fossil Adventures returning on April 20th, or requesting to return on April 20th for the 5th annual Easter Meg Hunt.
again, science fair project turned Easter egg hunt for the kids, teaching them about that 2014 undesirable material that got pumped up on the beach here. I find it very desirable. I wish they would go back there, but I respect that that's not everyone's cup of tea for beach sand. This year, again, we're hosting it down at the county park. We have been in touch with them. We've paid our permit for them. We have been in communication with the Army Corps about the dredge pipelines. Mike came out to the meeting last month for that. We will be setting up there at 8 a.m. Breakdown by 1:30, 2 o'clock. The actual event's 11 to 12:30. 300 people this year, as in years past. Rain date this year is going to be on the Sunday following the Saturday. County Park is okay with that. And we are charging this year for the first time in 5 years. So $25 a head for each participant, including adults, just because we're capping it at 300 people total. Again, we break down the sand plots into different age groups, so 4 to 6, 7 to 12, and 13 to 17 for every child's safety. And then the ticketing is going through Eventbrite, as along with communication email blasts, telling people to be aware of the dredge pipes. We're going to be working with them on that to make sure that everyone is safe with getting around that operation. And we'll check in with them periodically because we do know that pipe's moving around. From some of the funds that we're raising this year, we're donating them to a new research institute that has launched here in Charleston called the Charleston Center for Paleontology, which will be connecting area museums and colleges to our unique paleontological past here in the Lowcountry. So we hope to donate a fair bit to them.
Make a motion, we approve Mr.
Second.
Gale's request.
Second.
Y'all have any questions? Mr. Pope.
Mr. Grooms? Mr. Brazell?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Thank you, yes.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yeah.
Passes.
Thank you all.
Vineyard Vines Photo Studio. You bring us a sample of the vineyard?
They have a store down on King Street. Thank you, Mayor Goodwin, City Council, for hearing my request. My name is Tim Grady. I'm a local location manager. I live at 1467 Harbor Gate Boulevard in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And I have a client that contacted me, Vineyard Vines, and they're interested in coming and shooting here for a couple of days. One day, most likely split between the Folly County Park, if the pipes aren't in the way and it is safe and it makes sense. And the crew is about 25 people, work out of a motorhome. They're hiring 4 to 8 models from the local Isla Surf School. They're saying very simple props like surfboards, very basic, no big equipment, no, mainly just photo. There might be some video, but now we shoot video with like a photo camera, and there's not as much to it as it used to be. And we're also asking to shoot one day at 505 West Ashley on private property, and out on the beach in front of that house. Once again, no big huge equipment, no big huge props, just surfboards, nothing out of the ordinary. Typically, we would ask to shoot from 7 a.m. to like 6 p.m. And get that pretty morning light, or we'd ask to shoot from like 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. and get that pretty light at the end of the day. I would work out parking for our one motorhome, and we tried to rent 5 to 6 Sprinter vans, but that's the week of the Masters, so we can't get them. So it would probably be 10 to 12 larger SUVs, but of course, we park them at the county parks, or I would pay to park them on private property or in a spot from the Folly Municipal Parking. And that would be April 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
Well, we gotta make a motion first. Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second? Got a question?
And no fire on the beach?
No, we canceled that because they didn't want to go through the special effects guys and doing a
Good
the
answer.
one way.
Good
Yeah.
answer. So that's gone.
Yes, it's off the list.
And I don't know, and I guess I wanted to just clarify the location.
It was, right now, the county has permitted us to be at the, both ends
Of
for
the
a
county
day
park.
each. But we're probably gonna combine them into one day.
Okay.
And start at the Folly County Park and then go to the Inlet Heritage Preserve, because we own the parking there. And, you know, we go and park on the pad and walk out to the beach. That would make sense, and it's really, the light at the end of the day is beautiful over there. And the beach is still really pretty, even though it's not renourished yet.
So the county park is fine with that.
Yes, they've approved.
Thank you.
You got written approved.
Yes, they have been approved, and I've sent them to Wes and right away.
Any other questions?
So it's gonna be at the park.
Park, the whole 9 yards.
Wicked.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Brazil?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes,
Passes.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Ms. Stubblefield, you're up.
Good evening, I'm Paula Stubblefield from 1661 East Ashley, and I am here as a resident tonight. Wanted to address council on the issue of a potential seawall setback. I want to start out by saying that I recognize the importance of seawalls and the ability of private property owners to protect their property. I'm not asking to remove seawalls, and I'm not asking to change the ones that already exist. The issue I want to address is rock revetments on the beach. Most seawalls on the east end are built up to the baseline or the property line, which leaves little room for the rock revetments in front of them. The rock revetments are required in order to protect the integrity of the seawalls. And over the time, the effects of wave action and gravity cause the rock revetments to migrate seaward. In other words, the rocks don't always stay where they were originally placed. There are a large number of properties on the east end that were found to have rock revetments seaward of the baseline or the property line, which means the revetments were on the public beach. I'm simply asking that the private property be placed and moved onto the private property. When revetments end up past the baseline, the Army Corps requires the city to have them moved prior to renourishment, and the city just spent $12,600 to move rock revetments that were seaward of the baseline in front of 17 properties. My request is that council codify a seawall setback that allows room for rock revetments and some additional room for the eventual migration of those rock revetments. The request is backed by a petition that was signed by all the residents that I know of east of the washout, so that was in y'all's packet tonight. A seawall setback would meet multiple goals. Number one, the Army Corps' local cooperation agreement says the local sponsor, AKA the city, shall assure continued conditions of public ownership and public use of the shore. Moving the rock revetments back off the beach and onto private land meets this goal as it frees the public beach of these encroachments. Number two, the 2021 Comprehensive Beach Management Plan says the plan recommends at least 50 feet of beach space from the pre-nourishment storm high tide line to the toe of the dune for habitat and recreation space. There is currently no beach space and no dune on most of the east end, and enacting a seawall setback is a step towards that goal, since it ensures the public beach will remain open for public recreation and for nesting turtles. Number three, the dune management area only allows disturbance of the dune management area for a couple of uses, and one of those is to install a seawall. When a seawall is installed, the owner has to rebuild the dune to the appropriate height and install native plantings. But in practice, that's not happening because these seawalls are built up to the property line. So seaward of that, the owner of the seawall does not have ownership there, so they can't rebuild the dune there. A seawall setback would give room to rebuild the dune, which provides additional property protection, and as an added bonus, it also gives more ground for turtle nesting. In summary, private property should remain on private property, and I'm asking today for council to please codify a seawall setback in order to keep remittances off of public beach, reduce the cost to the city for removal of encroachments, create more sea turtle nesting ground, and maintain the public beach for the public. This ordinance would take some time to develop, so I would also ask for a moratorium on new seawalls until the ordinance is reviewed.
Thank you.
That's it. No.
Mr. Rich, you can do it from your chair. You don't have to walk down there. I know you don't feel like walking down there.
Not
so-
really, not really. So, tonight I'm under personal appearances asking for permission to close East Erie between Follywood and the Crab Shack from the Center Street crosswalk to the back fire lane only on April 20th from 1 to 5 so we can have Mr. Eddie Ellis's going away party. Eddie's been a lot to the beach over the years. He's dedicated his life to helping Folly, and we want to make it a nice party for him, and a lot of people are interested. And I don't think either Folly or the Crab Shack can contain everybody. I think it's going to be a larger event. So for everybody's safety and just so they can spread out and go back and forth between the two establishments, I'm asking to close that street for 4 hours. We're going to have the Shaken Martinis play out there. Spoken with the police chief and the director of facilities and public works, who both agreed that they're good with it and they're going to provide us with barricades and some extra trash cans. So I'm just asking for your permission to close the street for 4 hours, 5 hours. 5.
You have a motion, you have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
I'm not voting on
You're not making any money.
that. I know, but I just feel weird voting on something I'm asking for.
all right, Mr. Grimm,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Bazell,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Thank you, council. April 20th, Eddie Ellis going away party. Make sure you're there.
What'd you say?
What time
Anything
is
to get rid of Eddie?
Anything to get rid of Eddie. We're having a big party. Just make sure he's
What
good.
What time on the 20th?
We're gonna put 12 in there so we start closing everything off at 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Is what it'll be. The band will play for a couple hours. And I'm sure at some point Mr. Ellis will make a little going away speech and thank everybody. And we're gonna hang out with him for one more time.
And somebody else might make a comment or two.
You never know, man. We can have all kinds of people make comments.
Okay. Speaking of comments, citizen comments, anything on the agenda?
Get out of here.
Okay. Mr. Rich, you up again?
I'm
for
up again,
planning
man. I've got a big night, I guess. My planning commission appointment, I'm switching Ryan Buck to Amy Ray. So, well,
Congratulations.
that's why she's here.
I'm not gonna yell at you.
So we didn't know who she was, so she had to come show up. Okay, Ms. Stevens, you're up. So the ordinances
3 and 4.
3 and 4, this is for first reading, not second reading tonight.
Okay, these are the two that went to.
Went to planning, come back.
Commission, and planning commission unanimously voted to recommend approval. You want me to go over them?
Anybody have any questions y'all wanna ask her on 3 and 4?
Good stuff.
Okay, Bill? You got off early, easy, have a seat, don't go nowhere. You might not wear your shoes out here. All right, so we're up to old business, ordinance 002, ordinance amending Folly Beach Code of Ordinances 131. Offenses against public peace by defining allowable non-commercial projects that are exempt from noise regulations. This is the second reading for this one. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Pope.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Bazell,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes second.
So ordinance 003, an ordinance amending the standards of the Marine Commercial Zoning District by amending the table to set the maximum lot coverage to 35% for all uses in the marine commercial district. This is the first reading, come back from planning. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was
Second.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Pope?
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Gazelle,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes first.
Ordinance 004, ordinance amending the I'll read slow so you can have it. Amending the standards of the residential two-family zoning district by amending the table 165.01 to set the minimum lot area to 10,500 square feet for all uses in the residential two-family zoning district. This is the first reading, come back from planning. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Gazelle,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes first.
Ordinance 005, ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, Chapter 134, by amending sections 134.20 and 134.99 to comply with state law. This is the second reading. And we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
This brings our vessel ordinances in compliance with newly changed state law. Mr. Pope?
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Gazelle,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes second.
Ordinance 006, ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 34.07, penalties imposed by court by clarifying the authority of the municipal court to impose penalties as allowed by state law for violations of state law within the city. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And this is the second reading. We didn't mention that, I don't think. Any questions or comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Gazelle,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes second.
Okay, so we got a bunch to do, from 007 through, 14, but they're all gonna be remanded to planning. I'm gonna read all of those except one, Mr. Councilman Farley wanted to make a comment on. So I'm gonna read ordinance 009, independent. We'll go back and get the other ones in a minute. An ordinance amending the standards of chapter 161.02 of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinances definitions to remove gravel from the definition of impervious surfaces and amend chapter 166 by amending 166.05 to remove gravel from the list of impervious materials. To have a motion to remand to planning?
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
Yes. So, I understand the definition of impervious, and indeed gravel on top of sand is probably pervious for a while, but with compaction and everything else, it could become less and less pervious. It also, if the substrata is, if you pour like plantation mixed down or something like that, it becomes impervious. And so my fear is that even though it might start out as pervious, it could very well end up as pervious. It would be up to our staff to make sure that the right gravel was used, that the right bottom was used. And the other thing is, if we make it pervious, there would be nothing to stop people from graveling their entire front yard. And then we end up with situations where we have rental houses that have essentially parking lots that are their front yard. If you look at some of the problem properties we have, that's what a lot of them have done. They've gravelled the entire front yard, they rent the place, and then they call up all their friends and they have 10 to 12 cars parked on the front yard, and it ends up being a party house. I think if we maintain the gravel as an impervious material, it would dissuade people and discourage them from turning their front yards into a big parking lot, and it would close the door on the possibility that someone would rent a house and then invite multiple friends over and just park all on the front yard, and our public safety would be unable to do anything because it would meet code, it would be permissible, and I think by keeping it as an impervious material, we can kind of head that off and get sort of I try to look at the end game. If we change it, what's the end game or what's the unintended consequence? And this one appears to me to be pretty likely that that would happen. And I would hope that, and I'm glad that Paula's here and Skip's here and Amy's here. So when it goes to planning, you think about that and you realize that that could be an unintended consequence, that we get undesirable parking lots that are essentially people's front yards. So that's my input.
Done?
I just have a question, but because of the numbers of the bedrooms, you can only have a certain number of vehicles. Would that not mitigate?
I think we have a minimum, like if you have 4 bedrooms,
And it's one car?
there's no maximum.
Yeah.
We set the minimum, not the maximum.
Minimum.
Maybe
So-
planning commission will recommend setting a maximum.
Should I ask for a motion to remove this and just leave it as it is and remove it from being remanded? Or would you rather it be remanded and,
I'd rather see it go to them and let them come back to us. Because just because it goes and comes back doesn't mean you're gonna accept it.
well, I'll be voting no
You know.
regardless, but if
Well,
there's a
we'll-
majority of people that feel the same way, it doesn't make sense for planning to have to review it if it's gonna be dead on arrival when it comes back. But I don't know that there's a majority that feels that way about leaving it as is and leaving it as an impervious material.
Well, you can make a motion to not remand it. You can make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to not remand it and leave it as is.
have a second? Let's go on.
Okay. Haven't thought about it.
I give you a shot. Okay, guys, so the next ones, the rest of them are gonna be going to planning. Planning's gonna have a very busy schedule for the next 4 months, every time you do all these public hearings. But, so as I read these off, we'll get to the end and make a motion to remand them all at one time. Ordinance 007, an ordinance amending the standards of chapter 16601, tree protection of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinance by amending 16601 to allow removal of protected trees in certain circumstances in the residential 2-family zoning district. 008, an ordinance amending the standards of chapter 16101, rules of interpretation of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinance by amending 16101 to add pervious materials to the definitions and to include industry standard specification for pervious materials. 9 we just talked about. 010, an ordinance amending the standards of chapter 166 of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinance by amending 16606 driveways to require all at-grade improvements such as walkways and pool decking on a lot to be pervious, and to add commercial zoning districts to the requirement that driveways be constructed of pervious materials. 011, an ordinance amending the standards of chapter 168 of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinance by amending 168.04 to define single ownership. 012, an ordinance amending the standards of chapter 164 of the Folly Beach zoning and development ordinance use standard by amending table 16401 to include the Marsh Island Residential Zoning District and its allowable uses in the table. We have a zoning district, but it didn't make it to the table somehow. 013, Ordinance amending to tables 16301 to add the Center Street overlay and Marsh Island residential districts to the table of base and overlay districts. 014, an ordinance amending the standards of Chapter 162 of the Folly Beach Zoning and Development Ordinance Administration to amend 16203 to set the deadline to appeal a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals to 30 days after a decision is mailed.
Make a motion to remand all the introduced ordinances to the planning commission.
Got any questions or comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Bazell?
Yeah.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Remanded.
We're down to resolution 10-24, resolution by the Folly Beach City Council.
Mayor, did we have a vote on 9?
Yeah, with nobody had a second, so it didn't go anywhere. It's going to planning.
Did we have a vote to send it to planning commission?
Call the
It was
roll.
included in
It was
this.
included.
He just read it out.
I just read it first,
Okay, I'm sorry.
so
Just
he
making
can
sure.
make a comment, that's all.
Okay.
Resolution 10-24, resolution by Folly Beach City Council expressing support for the city's grant application to fund the design of a repaving project to raise the road, resurface, and improve drainage along 13th Street East and Tabby Drive. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I just have one question. This is wonderful. And would there possibly be other grants for other locations?
It depends on how things go, yeah,
With
where,
this one.
what grants come apart, come available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, we gotta get through this one first. Any other questions? Mr. Pope?
You'll wind up
Mr.
right.
Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Brooms?
Yes.
Mr. Bazell?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
So we're at resolution 09, resolution by Folly Beach City Council awarding a contract for due diligence phase of the public safety and public works storage building project to Mosley Architects in the amount of $19,760.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You'd like to say something? Oh, sit down, Eric. You're gonna ruin the whole presentation.
Just want to introduce you to Ayla Wooten. She's the architect representative from Mosley Architects. I wanted you to get a chance to talk to her about your wants at the new project site.
Yes, I will be the project manager over the project, so all correspondence will be with me.
Okay, well, all correspondence will come through either Mr. Lutz or Mr. Pope, so those will be the two main contacts you have, or be aggravating you.
Mr. Rich, I didn't know if you wanted to change.
Yeah, the only thing I brought up last time was if we can find somebody just to blend it into the natural foliage that's there, so it's less intrusive for the people that live there. That was the only, and I know there's plenty of ways to do that, so have some fun.
Yeah, we definitely want to look at what that community looks like and just blend into the community.
Right, yes.
And allow for phased construction, right? So it has the ability to be expanded for future use.
Yes, we've taken all those concerns.
Okay. Mr. Pope?
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
And Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
And Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Bazell?
Yes.
Mr. Brooms?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Resolution 11-24, resolution awarding $800 to the Folly Beach Senior Citizen Club to assist with funding membership building events recommended by the Community Promotions Committee. Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Probably just a clarifying one, so there's no confusion. The council previously was supportive of $850, So I just imagine now maybe some work, Heather, has been done to clarify, and you've come back. I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, they just asked for 800, I don't know what to
But
say.
previously, we were willing to give them 850s, so I guess that's one of the questions.
So the question is, they didn't want your $50.
Yeah, they want $50.
They wanted 800. That's the answer. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Bazell.
Yes.
Mr. Groom.
Yes.
Dr. Hutton.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
Yes.
And I agree.
Yes.
Passes.
Mr. Grooms, would you like to start comments?
Certainly, although April 20th is Eddie's going away party, we'd like for you to join, the Exchange Club is teaming up with the First Baptist Church on our yard sale this year. So if you've got any items that you'd like to give, let me know, or let anybody know. Somebody will find me. But we'll arrange to pick up your stuff and give it to the Baptist Church. They're under, I guess, trying to raise funds to redo a lot of the building. It has a lot of flooding. Their HVAC's gone down. So we're asking for the community to come help. But it's going to be April 20th, probably starting in the morning, and then we can go to Eddie's party afterwards. So there you have it.
You might find Eddie a nice going-away present.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. I found some today. We loaded about 4, 5, 6 truckloads today.
There you go.
So,
Well, I'm glad I don't have a truck
found a nice
anymore.
massage chair.
Mr. Ellis?
Well, I'd like to welcome Amy Ray back to the city business and planning commission. And I'd like to thank all the city staff for all their hard work, and the community for all the help they give each other. And definitely gonna miss living here, but I can come back and vacation. So thanks for coming out to the meeting there tonight.
You have to get a visa to get back.
Across the Mississippi.
Mr. Farley?
March 17th, St. Patty's Day, biggest day of the year. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
I just want to thank everyone that's contacted me, because my colleagues supported folks giving me feedback on hardship and the definition of it. So I just encourage people to keep doing that and just give me a call or email me. That's been really enlightening. The other thing is enjoy the campaign. I really want to thank and tell you all that I respect. I'm glad that I had meetings with both Jody and Skip. And one of the things that I learned is that you'll have a diversity of voices and citizens who care. And I just hope you truly, truly embrace that and just ride the wave. Lastly, yes, it's Women's History Month, and I thought a lot about it. I said, well, I won't talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg or this or that, but I will talk about my mother, as far as acknowledging her and her heart, her soul, her mind, and instilling the values in me about education, community service, civility, and access to opportunities. And I'm going to end on wonderful Marlene Estridge. I thought about that the staff painted the boat, had parties, and in recognition of her loving nature, loyalty to the city, and commitment to family and friends, she sets a wonderful example, especially during Women's History Month.
Just thank everybody for coming out tonight. Each month, it just reminds me just how committed each person is to this community, and it just really instills a lot of pride, just a sense of obligation, and I just thank you for each person that goes to make everything happen each month in Folly. It's just an amazing amount of work.
I'm at the end of the line. You guys said it all. Have a nice night.
Have a motion to adjourn? So moved. We didn't make daylight. Almost, but not quite.
What did you have?
Two.
Aaron was saying